with at least 10 rebounds in each of his last 8 games. It's the Spurs and Lakers. It's coming up next, live from Staples Center in Los Angeles. In their first matchup, the Lakers snuck out of San Antonio with a double overtime win while Duncan and Parker watched from the bench. Tonight, the champions.
From the Staples Center, downtown Los Angeles, all day after Thanksgiving, shopping has been put on hold. We got a good one in store for you tonight. Robert Horry used to be a Lakers star, now comes off the bench for the Spurs, honored with his Lakers jersey by Mitch Kupchak and the fans here at Staples just a moment ago. It's just one of many storylines here tonight for the Lakers and the Spurs on NBA Friday. MVPs, past champions, teams that really think it's an important game in November. All the storylines here. Mike Tirico, George Karl, Tom Tolbert, Jim Gray's over there. He'll join us momentarily. LA's been great at home. 23 regular season wins in a row. All 8 this season. George, this is a team that it's November, but they've made a statement in the first month of the season.
At the beginning of the year, everybody talked about, is this a great team? And they're not dominating yet, but they are getting close. Dominating is around it. Their free throws, they're dominant. 5 of the last 6 wins have been by 20 points or more. This is a team that's right now seems to gel a little bit, and they're still not healthy.
In addition to this nice pilot.
Yeah, we didn't get that last year. We didn't get that last year.
What are you guys doing?
We got.
Tell us about the Thanksgiving.
We didn't have this last year. This is him.
Oh, okay.
This is him.
What about the champions here as they come in San Antonio tonight, Tom?
Soft too, by the way.
Tell me about the Spurs.
Well, the one thing about the Spurs this year, they have constants. They play defense, they play hard, and they have Tim Duncan. The one thing they don't have from last year is offensive continuity. They're struggling with their shot. They don't have guys in the right places sometimes, and that you're going to expect with Turkoglu coming over, Nesterovic coming over, Mercer coming over. They got new guys, but you know what? I don't think Popovich is a coach that wants you coming out of the gate and leading in the first furlong. He wants you behind, sitting behind, let somebody else set the pace, and then you get better, and then take a playoff time.
It is something that has worked for him over the last few years. Shaquille O'Neal, the big question if he would play tonight, and as we look at our starting lineups, you will see that 34 is back in the middle after missing a couple of games because of the calf injury. Shaquille O'Neal will match up with the new free agent acquisition for San Antonio from Minnesota, Rasho Nesterovic. Look forward to the Tim Duncan, Karl Malone match. Bruce Bowen's defense will be everywhere on Devin George, who's been very good this season. And we'll see Bowen on Kobe Bryant before the night is done. The backcourt matchup features the Lakers' 22.4 point per game scorer and Manu Ginobili, who's been great as a starter for the Spurs, and a great point guard matchup. Tony Parker, Gary Payton. For more on Shaquille O'Neal, we say good evening to Jim Gray.
Mike, good evening to you as well. I spoke to Shaquille O'Neal. He told me his calf is feeling much better. He received a tremendous amount of treatment the past 7 or 8 days. It was his idea. He told me to play tonight. Spoke to Gary Vitti, the Lakers trainer. He told me that the calf is good to go, but they're going to keep an eye on it in the early minutes. They'll just see how it goes. Everybody was on board. Phil Jackson telling us Shaq in a real good mood today that he's chomping at the bit to play the Spurs. Mike?
And with good reason, Jim. After all, the Lakers were eliminated on this floor in Game 6. Western Conference playoffs last year by Tim Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs swept the Lakers all 4 regular season meetings last year. Lakers won as good a regular season game as we've had here in 2003's early going. Winning a double overtime game in San Antonio. No Duncan, no Parker for that game, but all hands on deck, including Shaq tonight, trying to get the Lakers a 24th consecutive regular season home win. All 8 thus far this season.
Well, I don't think any games, early in the season all that important, but you'd like to reestablish some dominance if you're the Lakers. If I can break it down into canine terms, the Spurs have been coming in here and peeing on their home court, is what they've been doing. The Lakers want to get that back and say, you know what, that's over. This is our court. We're the best team in the West. Let us show you tonight.
This has been the best matchup in basketball for the last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
The Lakers versus the Spurs. It's been the best matchup for 5 seasons.
The last 5 NBA championships won by San Antonio and LA. Bernie Fryer, our crew chief, talks it up. Gary Benson and Rodney Mott, they work the game tonight. The Lakers in the Forum Gold will get going here. Karl Malone watched by Tim Duncan. Into O'Neal, who kick it right back out. The Lakers continuing to fit the new pieces into the triangle. Shaq goes at Nesterovic, and Duncan comes away with the rebound. Duncan not yet 100% off his left ankle injury, but certainly more than serviceable, averaging his typical double-double. Here he is on Karl Malone. But he uses the window better than Tim, but couldn't convert that one.
Well, that was a nice job by Karl Malone. The last couple of years, when Karl was with Lookout.
Wistarovich fouls O'Neal as Shaq early has gone to the basketball court.
Well, if you see him in that half moon with the basketball, it's either a trip to the line, a facial, or both. He's just going to run right down the middle of the lane, catch the basketball right at the top of the half moon, and it's too late by that point. But with him, he's so big, you have a tough time keeping him from there. But in the last couple of years, it seems like Tim Duncan's really done a job on Karl Malone when he was in Utah. He just has a hard time, and for that matter, anybody has a hard time matching up with Tim Duncan one-on-one. So I'd not expect him to be physical with him, use his body, and then look for some help.
I thought before the game, Phil Jackson talked about the Malone-Duncan matchup and the Payton-Parker matchup as kind of, he was intrigued by it. He looked like he was kind of interested in seeing where they were going to go.
Career 54% shooter, 50% this year at the line. 0 for 2 to start the game for Shaquille O'Neal. Still looking for the game's first points. Tony Parker cannot get them. And Gary Payton on the push. Kevin George left side. Bryant runs to the line on the right. Payton this side.
Well, both these teams are opportunistic breaking teams. They're not looking to get out and run for fast breaks, but when the opportunity is there, both of them will take it.
Wistarovich turned away by O'Neal, out to Parker, who glanced up at the clock. He knows he has 8 to work on Kobe. Nice move at the top of the key, and Wistarovich gets it after it came off the cylinder. So the 6th-year man out of Slovenia gets the first hoop of the game.
And that's what David Robinson did so well last year. He's played defense, hit the glass.
Gary Payton taking it into his own hands, squares the game at 2. Payton averaging 14.5 here in the first 15 games. LAX 12-3. Best record out here in the Western Conference. Here out space for Duncan on Karl Malone. Goes for 2 off the window. Interesting to watch the Lakers in the half-court offense. Shaq demanding it with position, but couldn't handle it. As you would expect, missing a week plus because of the calf injury. O'Neal not as short-handed here in the early going. Manu Ginobili, a great game in the double overtime loss by the Spurs at home to the Lakers. And here he is again. Ginobili went for a career-high 33 in that San Antonio setback.
Once he becomes consistent, he'll become an all-star. He has greatness in a lot of games. He just doesn't have that consistent factor in every night coming out and being great.
Malone got a little space to shoot. And the man who, if he continues to average about a dozen points a game here for the next year and a half, will pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. Gets the game squared at 4.
You got to watch him because he's a slapper. He wants to slap the ball before you get it up over your head, so you've got to be cognizant of that.
Karl Malone picked up his first personal foul.
When Duncan does such a great job of keeping it up, but watch right here. I mean, he's going to try to get it before he gets it above his waist. And if you can get it above Malone's head, then he's not really going to do a great job of contesting the shot, but he will do a great job of raking balls from you.
One more coming for Duncan. His team 9-6. Head coach Greg Popovich, I wouldn't say displeased with the way things have gone early on for San Antonio. A lot of parts had to fit in, with Duncan out because of his ankle injury, Parker out for his ankle injury, and so many new faces on this team here this year.
They actually have the identical record they had last year at this time. They were 9-6 last year at this time, and they're 9-6 now. So I think Pop didn't show them a lot of concern.
Off the feet for O'Neal, Bryant hits his first jumper. Kobe's been shooting 47% from the field here in the first 15 games. A lot of bodies come to Ginobili, who hits her, and a foul.
I'm telling you, if you had degree of difficulty to his shots, he'd be averaging about 2 more points a game this year. Because he just makes some tough shots. And right here, Draws the contact, body fading away, flips it up. And he does this all the time. All the time. Just shots that look like there's no way of a chance to get to the rim, and he gets them in.
He covers a lot of space with 2 steps.
Yeah, he does. And he does a great job protecting the ball. I mean, people have watched football for the last 2 days. Watch Ginobili on one of these drives through the lanes. It's like he's protecting it on the way in. Payton able to avoid a 2-on-1 for San Antonio. Advantage LA, and George a 3. You know it's not a normal regular season game, and we haven't hit the first commercial, and the Staples Center's full.
That's very unusual here. Before Christmas?
Well, there's no rush hour traffic to complain of tonight. Everybody able to ease their way in without the normal freeway fiasco here in Southern California. There he goes, Ginobili protecting. Bowen loves the corner 3. That time he hit the side of the board. Bryant running out.
Great passing. Great.
Early 3-point Laker lead. On the switch, and Stervich trying to get open for a second, but O'Neal recovers. Duncan connects from the top.
Is there anything he can't do inside 17 feet? Maybe even 18? I mean, we're talking leaners, runners, fadeaways, lean-ins. I mean, he's got more moves than maybe anybody this side of Kevin McHale down low.
Duncan's defensive help left Malone free. Carl couldn't make it. And Ginobili brings it up.
Of course, that one thing we knew about Kevin McHale is he would try all 24 moves before he'd pass it, too. I hated that. I'm like, I got you covered. Will you just pass it, please?
Devin George with the foul up high on Ginobili. It's his first foul. 3 on the Lakers.
And we talked about being opportunistic. The pass ahead and then keep trucking right down the middle. Kobe doesn't put it on the floor. Just a quick flip back and an easy deuce for Payton.
I'll tell you, one thing about the Lakers I've seen over the last couple of weeks, they look like they're having fun playing basketball. Over the last couple of years, winning 3 championships, the game got a little stale to them. It's gotten more life to it right now, and I think their body language, their facial expressions, just the way they play seems like they're enjoying it.
O'Neal, that foul, his first. 14 fouls, all 1 apiece. Ginobili comes to the line.
Well, they ran a pick and roll with Ginobili and Stervich, and that's Shaq's man. And a lot of people would say if you're going to go up against Shaq, you should do that more and more. Make him get on the perimeter and defend against pick and rolls.
Guys, when we talked to Greg Popovich before the game, thought he said something interesting. This is not the returning NBA championship team. He's said that a few times this season, but reiterated that point. And it kind of reminds these guys, look, there's no David Robinson. A lot of the guys, the Steve Kerrs, the Smith, the guys, Danny Ferry, who are on the end of the bench, but so much a part of the team. Steven Jackson, obviously, they're no longer here. For these Spurs, Devin George hits the hoop, give the Lakers a 3-point lead. These Spurs that take the floor every night, Pop reminds them, almost kind of a little thing to prod them to the side. You're not the defending champs. You guys didn't win it. The other group did.
He actually has done so much that he doesn't announce the team at the home games as the defending NBA champions. He took it out of the PA announcer's ability to do that.
Come on, are you coaches controlling the PA announcer? George, you never did that, I'm sure.
I didn't win a championship either.
Parker kicks it out to Ginobili. Plenty of time on the clock. He steps back and splash down.
Wow. You can't cover that one.
He seems to play better the bigger the game. He enjoys a big stage. 7 already for Ginobili.
He almost seems to shoot better the harder the shot.
Shaq comes across the lane. Drew 60% of the Spurs, and then Duncan will pick up the personal foul. 5.5 remaining in the opening quarter. Very good start both ways. Manu Ginobili. Degree of difficulty tough. Degree of success pretty high. 7 of San Antonio's first dozen. Still, he and the Spurs trail the Lakers by 1. Last 5 NBA championships represented here. We're glad you're here on NBA Fridays. Sitting over there across the way. Jack's new movie, Something's Gotta Give, opens December 12th in a couple of weeks. Make your plans for that. Tobey Maguire here as well. So many stars, as usual, on hand here at the Staples Center to watch the Lakers in action. Dustin Hoffman here to watch the defending champion San Antonio Spurs come pay a visit to the Lakers. Well, we talked about how the team that Dustin and everyone else is watching tonight is constantly reminded that they are not the champions. Here are some of the additions for the replacements that we spoke of earlier. Guys, anybody on that list making a big impression on you early on?
No, that's the problem. I think right now they're all searching for an identity.
Well, what are you getting from the guys? I mean, Rajon Nesterovic steps in, and you look at the numbers; they're not bad, but he still doesn't do what David Robinson does as far as defending the basket, and that's where he was so good last year. And David accepted his role last year in defending the basket. And I really think that they're not missing Ginobili because he's playing, but they're missing his electricity coming off the bench. Same with Sacramento last year, and Bobby Jackson was starting instead of coming off the bench. It's great that they're out there, but you don't have that guy coming off the bench. Boom, kick it into another gear.
At least the players are butt players. You like them, but there's always a but.
Both free throws for O'Neal. Now 2 of 4 from the line here in the early going. 3-point Laker lead, 7 minutes in. Duncan finds Bowen open. Bowen has not even touched the rim twice from the corner.
A clank and a whiff. I'll send Dan a check for that.
Dan Patrick. Has he patented the whiff yet?
Boy, that'll shake your confidence, won't you? Side of the backboard and air ball.
O'Neal now gets Duncan this trip down, and Ginobili, that's a 2. With Payton on the board, all easy for the Lakers that time.
I think both teams have been inconsistent from the outside at the beginning of the year. 3-point shooting by the Lakers is way down. Popovich talked about his team not shooting the ball from the outside on a consistent basis.
Ginobili, nice job hustling. It's out of bounds off Manu. Remains with the Lakers. You can decide which players, maybe some of these players, will be all-star starters. Log on to NBA.com and cast your ballot for the 2004 NBA All-Star Game to be held right here at the Staples Center in Los Angeles.
Now, do you think at some point it would be cool for the All-Star Game to do what hockey did and do the World versus USA, maybe for a couple years? I mean, I think they're getting to the point now where you look at guys like Nowitzki and Yao Ming, and there's a couple other guys out there that have been playing pretty good. I think it could be a good game, and it infused basketball. Because right now the All-Star Game's kind of one way or the other.
Kobe had to put that one up quick. It will stay with the Lakers. Shot clock was running down. O'Neal out after 7 minutes as he's coming back from the injury.
I like those ideas. I think NBA should expand and explore situations. I've always said take 2 weeks off at All-Star break and have an NCAA tournament single elimination game.
You mean with the schools you represented?
No, with the teams.
Oh, you mean with the teams, just like 1 and out? Okay.
Because a 7-game playoff series is totally different than a single elimination basketball tournament.
Bryant took a hard slip there, yep. And jump ball coming.
They get Microsoft or IBM to put up like $20 million.
Winner take all?
Winner take all.
And it wouldn't count in the standings or anything, just that little tournament for 2 weeks.
It's that tournament, maybe the first round played on the home courts, and then you take it to Honolulu or San Diego or Hawaii, I don't know.
No cold weather places, huh, George? Discriminating against cold weather again? How about Boise, George?
We'll play tomorrow.
Malik Rose is coming, an 8th-year man out of Drexel, giving 9.5 points and 7 boards off Popovich's bench. And Hito Turkoglu watching Devin George, who comes away with that jump ball. Good cut. Payton down the lane.
People forget Gary Payton, when I had him in Seattle with Nate McMillan, was a great off-guard mover without the ball. Curling, cutting, posting. And I think he's going to have to go back to a lot of that game to score more points with this basketball team.
Horace Grant into the Lakers when O'Neal came down. Parker comes down the lane. No Shaq there. He can attack it. Turkoglu gets the rebound. Fresh shot clock, so plenty of time for Parker. Didn't have to rush anything. Now got through the lane. See, no Shaq. Get there a lot easier.
Lakers got to get better defensively in the middle.
Well, who's in the middle now for him? That's the question. Who can defend the bucket?
Grant saw Malone cutting. Right idea. Wrong time.
Here's Gary cutting off the basketball. Malone, a great passer, cuts down, gets a wide open easy layup. Unfortunately, they gave the same wide open easy layup at the other end of the court.
And Greg Popovich takes time out. We'll find out. The Orlando Magic, who beat the Knicks in the opener, haven't won since. Could they get one tonight? We'll find out when we come back.
And how about Orlando trying to get off the snide? They'd lost 14 straight. T-Mac late to kiss off the glass. Could it be the night? I don't think so, Bill. Because
no,
Vince
I don't
Carter.
think so either. Orlando has buzzer's luck, and Vince Carter just hit a big shot. But why is Lou taking the last shot?
Because they're a bad basketball team right now, Bill.
Tyronn Lue
so.
misses the shot late, 87-86, your final score. Vince has 20. Meanwhile, the Indiana Pacers just overwhelmed the 76ers to move to 14-2. They are rolling. Let's roll on back to L.A. and Mike Tirico. Mike?
All right, Kevin, the guys down there at Times Square, 14-2, the Pacers. Best record in the NBA, second best the Lakers here. Those two teams will meet here at the Staples Center on Sunday. Meantime, we'll see Orlando when they play the Spurs next Friday night. Trip east, we get to go see the Magic.
Let's hope they get a win. They got to get a win.
Hey, if they get the win in our presence, they might invite us back.
I don't want to be there if they don't get a win.
Derek Fisher in for Kobe Bryant. Malone stripped the ball away from Malik Rose. He's the one who got the worst of it. The foul is called on Rose. Carl needs a towel just to...
Well, he flailed Malik Rose after he stripped the ball. He kicked his leg up, and I think it caught him in the face. Call foul. Oop, gotcha.
Ooh. It's like a poke.
And that one hurts.
Gary Vitti, the Lakers athletic trainer, coming over to just make sure Carl's in full working order here.
Well, you end up doing this a lot when you get the ball stripped from you. You just throw hands and feet. There's a foot right there. Smack.
Wow.
Wow. Make Jackie Chan proud right there. Look at that thing. Hey.
Oof. Nice form.
That was nice. Good extension on that one. But you do that because you're hoping to draw a foul. You get the ball stripped clean. You just kind of throw arms and legs everywhere in hopes of duping the official into calling a foul. And the officiating crew did a nice job there, realizing it was all ball, not calling anything.
Has anyone blocked the ball low as much as Karl Malone in his career?
Nope.
I put the number one guy. He's the number one free throw shooter, and number one low blocker.
That's why when you're going up against him, if you can just keep the ball high, because once you get it over his head, he doesn't do a great job at challenging you. But if you keep it low, he has good hands, and he'll get him.
Ron Mercer has come into the Spurs lineup. Carl, you feeling okay? Guess so. Lakers by 5.
You think he's coach? You think he's the best shooting power forward ever outside the 17? I mean, Duncan can do a lot of things, but as far as shooting, I don't know if there's anyone better out there, or has ever been anybody better.
Or should the mid-San Antonio.
At the level of greatness, you're probably right. But, you know, Sam Perkins is a great three-point shooter as a power forward. Pretty good player. Never made an all-star team, but pretty good player. But as an all-star player, probably a great 18-foot jump shooter.
And made himself a great 18-foot jump shooter. When he first came to the league, you would give him that shot all day. He got so good because he worked at it.
Gary Payton missed. Hedo Turkoglu, former Sacramento King, comes down with the rebound. Turkoglu, Malik Rose, Parker, Mercer, and Duncan, the 5 on the floor for the Spurs. Karl Malone, he gulps the rebound, along with Grant, Devin George, Fisher, and Payton for L.A. And here's Grant from the outside.
I'm thinking Duncan might touch the ball this trip down the court.
Turkoglu sends it his way. The double. Turkoglu travel. Boy,
That wasn't steps.
I want to know who was a better basketball player, Bernie Fryer or Leon Wood, the two referees. Bernie played when I was playing. Leon played when you were playing.
Leon was at Fullerton. When I was at Irvine. Yeah. When I was sitting in Irvine, actually. Oh, good position.
Malone inside, gets the hoop. 7-point lead as Bryant and Shaq sit. Wood, of course, on the 84 Olympic team.
Yeah. Tell you what, Carl's dangerous to guard down low, too, because he leads with those elbows.
Turkoglu get a clean catch, but got in the lane. No travel call that time. And first field goal for the fourth-year man out of Turkey. We approach a minute left in the first. Lakers leading by 5. Derek Fisher. He's struggling with his shot from the outside a little bit. Fisher has an adjustment. Everybody's looking at how the guys are going to share the ball with their shots. Fisher, the adjustment from being a starter back to coming off the bench and being a role player. Duncan on the kick out to Mercer. Nope. Good energy from L.A. Both attempt by Payton, but that's last off of San Antonio toe.
This is a Utah Jazz play run by the LA Lakers. The Utah Jazz used to run that play a million times. Seal you, you get too high, nice pass, layup. You're dead. You're out to lunch. You can't get anything done.
I just make sure I get my face out of the way. Because when he leans in, it's elbow first. And if you don't want your nugget, you may be taking a short trip to the dentist.
Grant slipped down but couldn't get the ball as Tim Duncan takes it away and comes back the other way. 3 seconds the difference between the first quarter game clock and the shot clock.
You notice Tim just put it behind his back there? Just show he could. Just dribble it up, put it behind my back real quick. I think guys love doing that stuff. They don't get to do it very often.
So nice screen there on Fisher. Parker waited for Grant to commit, but he stayed on the ground. Shot clock at 1. Offensive foul as Parker wrapped his arm around Derek Fisher. Good job by Grant. His interior defense started that sequence.
I think what's interesting between the two teams is San Antonio, to become a championship team, is going to have to improve offensively. For LA to become a championship basketball team, they're going to have to improve defensively. And they're both in that mode right now of improvement, getting better on a daily, weekly basis. But they're different. They're different ends of the spectrum right now.
Ryan Russell comes in to trigger here. Final 4.7. Fisher looks for space. Good if it goes. Yes! A 3!
I always hated that shot going in at the end of the quarter.
They're going to check it on replay. 1 to see if it was good, and 2nd to come back and see. I think his foot may have been on the line in a 2, but it was definitely good in time. Out of his hand before the lights come on, and his foot was on the line. So that will be changed to a 2. Here as the quarter comes to an end. So we'll get it all sorted out as Bernie Fryer gets on with the truck to check the replay. Either way, the Lakers a good first quarter, and they lead by 9. It was a 2. It did beat the clock, so it's 25-16 Lakers as the Big Four, the quad squad is one of the things I've seen in the LA Times that I like to describe these 4 future Hall of Famers. Everyone's field goal attempts from last season in the first column, field goal attempts per game this season you see by 3, by 8, by 5, by 6. They're all down. Well, how's it going, Gary Payton?
We don't take a lot of shots. I think me and Carl and a lot of us, we're averaging about 10, 11 shots. And that's what Phil wants. He wants everything to be equal, and I think it should be like that. I think we all should be equal. We're averaging 14, 15. Everybody else, you know, the 2, Kobe and Shaq having 20. So, I mean, we're doing okay. I mean, but it's a lot different. We knew the sacrifice was going to come, and now we just got to deal with it.
George, you sat down and talked to Gary Payton today. Do you get a sense that your former player is really comfortable with this situation and the sharing everyone's had to do?
I think both he and Karl Malone are excited about what it has to be. I don't think they know what it is yet, but they're searching. They're content with winning, and I think we all know they took a lot of a cut in pay to win a championship.
Malik Rose missed the jumper. Shaquille O'Neal gets the rebound. He's back in the game. Slava Medvedenko is also in for LA. Slava's missed only 1 field goal in his 2 games of action, 12 of 13. Duncan must guard O'Neal. Off of Kobe Bryant, the Lakers have Ryan Russell, Kobe Bryant, Derek Fisher, Shaquille O'Neal, and Slava Medvedenko in. As Duncan works with Malik Rose, Ron Mercer, Hito Turkoglu, and Jason Hart has the ball. Point guard who was picked up because of the injuries just as the season was getting going, and he has been a big contributor thus far. O'Neal in the lane by himself, not guarding anyone there for 3 seconds. So a technical foul is called on LA. As Malik Rose comes to the line, you see the Lakers shared the ball nicely on their way to 65% shooting. And San Antonio Didn't shoot it very well. 7 of 21 in the opening quarter. As Rose, an 84% shooter, knocks that one down.
Does Shaq look even close to 100%?
I'd say 84.
82?
But that's just, I mean, I've only watched for a quarter, so I'll give you a better assessment in the third.
Your point is, Coach?
I just don't think, you know, his sharpness, he's come back looking better. His body looks better. He's got more shape, probably more energy. But the injury to his leg, and he just doesn't seem, he seems rusty, a little stale, a little rusty, not as powerful, not as involved. And Phil took him out with 7 minutes. I think he's probably going to keep him on a short leash from a minute standpoint tonight. Someone even mentioned that they've played very well without him. And I said, well, they played basketball well without him, but the power of the game is with him. And there's no question that he's the most dominating and intimidating player to play against in the game of basketball today.
1 of 2 for Duncan. He's 2 of 4 from the line tonight. And the San Antonio deficit is 7. Bryant waited for Fisher to come off the O'Neal screen. Couldn't use the window. Medvedenko trying for the follow flush, but Duncan's body was in the way.
Well, it looked like he didn't know whether he wanted to use the glass or not. And in midair, finally decided to.
Shaquille O'Neal turns away Jason Hart. Fisher on the push. Bryant ran to the line. Medvedenko inside. Can't miss. He's 13 of 14 from the field.
Safe to say that leads a league. But what a great job of firing right down the middle of the court. I mean, he was running, and Fisher rewarded him.
Bryant defensively on Ginobili. Medvedenko working, trying to get around Duncan. And Tim will come to the free throw line again. More on Shaquille. Back to Jim Gray.
Mike, well, you know, Shaq felt bad because it was a goal of his to try and play in 82 games. But he knew his leg wasn't right, that the calf wasn't right. So he has decided, instead of trying to have something become where it's going to be a problem throughout the rest of the season, to get it right now. There was a little lull in their schedule. They had some home games here. There was no reason for him to come out here and push it, particularly when he knows, and he told us he knows, that he's needed toward the end of the year. So let's get it right now instead of having this thing linger.
Atlanta and Chicago, the last 2 home games, out of bounds off of San Antonio.
You know, I always wonder with how big Shaq is, and he's 350, you know, 345, 350. Okay, the older you get, the more those injuries start piling up, and the harder it is to come back from them. You wonder if from now on towards the end of his career, if he's ever going to have a season free of injury.
Russell at the line, left free. He's been working on that shot and was really helped by the man who helped him when he was in college, Bob Tate. During his days at Long Beach State, it was Tate who helped Russell when his shot went south. A little work here over the last couple of weeks, and Russell feels like he's finding the range again. The 11-point LA lead. O'Neal rebounds the miss by Rose. If it's not in the hands of Duncan, there's not a lot of confidence, quality on the San Antonio offensive end. And Bryant puts one up to get it to go. Extends it to 13.
It's not like the Spurs aren't getting good looks. They've had looks from point-blank range, and everybody's had a hand in the clank fest that's going on right now.
Plus 10 over the last 3.5. Rose dives down the lane, couldn't convert. Medvedenko pulls it away. Slava showed some hustle and defense, got the crowd going when he came back. Bryant in the open floor. Timeout San Antonio.
This is good basketball.
The Lakers sharing the ball here. They have 15 field goals, 12 assists on those 15 field goals. Sharing the ball with confidence. A little statement to make against the San Antonio team that embarrassed Bryant and the Lakers on their home floor last year. Los Angeles has extended to the night's largest lead by 15. Denver working on a big win tonight because one of the big stars on the other team isn't there. We'll check in with Kevin and company in Times Square after this.
Mavericks and Nuggets, and Michael Finley late in this game, the big jumper Mavs down by just 3, but then Marcus Camby?
Yeah, Marcus Camby, he's been playing up a whale of a storm this year with the putback big bucket.
Yeah, and that's a whale of a storm, 14 rebounds, I'll tell you that.
Playing well. Antoine Walker's still having a hell of a season for the Mavericks.
Wow, you might have to wash your mouth out with soap tonight. 56-30, meanwhile, the Kings in charge against the Rockets. Let's head back to Mike in Los Angeles.
Impressive from Sacramento, guys. Of course, no Dirk Nowitzki out with the ankle injury for Dallas. Still in all, Denver looking for win 9. They won only 17 all of last year. Carmelo Anthony paired with LeBron James so often. The numbers production-wise been a little bit of an advantage for LeBron, but Carmelo's team, the little bit better team right now, playing better basketball.
Well, the one thing that always jumps out at me when I look at LeBron's numbers is regardless of what his shooting was, he always has 7 or 6 rebounds, 7 or 6 assists.
O'Neal sends Ginobili to the deck. Medvedenko pitched it back to Kobe, who is feeling it. Rebound by Jason Hart. Also Nesterovic back in. So Nesterovic, Turkoglu, Ginobili. Jason Hart took it all the way. Wasn't going to try it that time with O'Neal there, but will take the open jumper. Jason Hart, who was working out, trying to hang around Houston, see if he could make that roster, just released there. And all the injury problems with Anthony Carter, Alex Garcia, hit San Antonio. Bryant turned away. Russell tried to draw the foul. Turkoglu didn't get it. Nice job by Derek Fisher defensively. And a foul call on Medvedenko. Well, Manu, you guys mentioned, takes it into the lane with reckless abandon.
Well, right back out with reckless abandon as well. But you know what? That will not faze him. He'll go right back at him.
Bryant, the defensive assignment on the Argentine. His shot over O'Neal. Medvedenko kept it alive. Jason Hart gets it with a fresh shot clock.
Well, Medvedenko not only been shooting well, but he's been hitting the boards and running. And that's one of the things that I think Phil wanted to see from him last year. Play defense, get some rebounds.
And Rasho Nesterovic makes the jumper. Robert Horry with the assist as the former Laker is coming to the lineup for the first time tonight against his old team. He's going to help Nesterovic on O'Neal. Turkoglu came with the assistance, and Horry cleans the glass. Nice little thumb in the open faucet here for San Antonio, trying to stem the Lakers' run, get it back to single digits. Nesterovic measures up Shaq.
Didn't fit. Or too long to make the move there. The whole defense was able to collapse.
Fisher in rhythm.
That play was made by Medvedenko, running the middle lane, sucked the defense in. Fisher gets the wide open. Green, great pass in the transition.
Never touched the ball, but the difference in that play and the lead back to 14 for the Lakers. Ginobili all the way. Sweet. Reverse.
Hey, man.
He said, you know what? I'm going to use the rim this time. The rim's my friend.
Phil Jackson, Slava may have been getting the plaudits from this table for the move on one end, but not on the other side.
You watch right here. It's like, you got me last time. Let me go underneath to use the rim this time, big fella. Come get this one.
2 years ago, he was the best player in the World Games before he sprained his ankle. Yugoslavia went on to win that championship. One of my worst months of my life, but went on to win that championship. He was the best player in the games until he hurt himself.
Of NBA Friday, brought to you by AT&T One Rate USA. Call anywhere in the country, anytime for one flat rate.
That hurt. On the way back down. If you're just joining us here around the bottom of the hour, NBA Friday. Earlier tonight, Detroit beat LeBron James in Cleveland. Here, the Lakers and Spurs, the last 5 NBA champions meeting. LA leading by a dozen, 37-25. Some of the small stuff the Lakers are doing well.
This is a coach's play. Medvedenko underneath the basket right here. He's going to sprint down the middle of the court. Here he's going to sprint down the middle of the court. And watch all the Spurs go towards him. He's like a magnet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fisher wide open. Whack. Great find. A guy that never touched the ball was a big part of a big play in transition.
Is that your first illustrator?
That's my first.
Congratulations. Your first live
Way to go.
Congratulations.
Good job. Way to go. Congratulations.
Do you give out cigars for first successful illustration here? Lakers have hit 3 of 4 from behind the line. Spurs still looking for their first three-pointer. Slava Medvedenko out of the Ukraine. Trying to keep that streak alive. He's missed now. That's the second time he's missed this season. Came into the game 12 of 13 from the field since coming back. He missed his first 13 games of the season with a bruised left heel. Jason Hart's shot is short, and Slava gets the board and advances to the cross midcourt.
And that's amazing about the Lakers. They have 2 superstars on the court at every minute. 2 of them rest, 2 of them are out. One goes in, one goes out.
Ginobili splits the D. Shaq is there. That one would have went. Even O'Neal might have stopped and patted him on the back.
I think if that would have went, O'Neal would have gave him a vial and said, okay.
Ginobili's pressing right now, though. He's pressing right now. He's probably trying to do a little bit too much out there on the court. The Spurs are struggling to score points.
Ori knocked it away as the double came. Well, Tuesday night, ESPN's coverage of the ACC Big Ten Challenge presented by 989 begins with a doubleheader. Indiana will take on 18th-ranked Wake Forest, then at 9 Eastern. Also available on ESPN HD, you'll see Illinois take on North Carolina, number 12 against number 10.
Go Hills.
See how Roy Williams' team does it. Still, you have to stop and think of Roy Williams, North Carolina. Okay. That's the Big Ten ACC Challenge, presented by 989 Sports. Coming up the next couple of nights once we get into the new work week on ESPN and ESPN2.
Well, they're doing better there now. They got a 1-game win streak against Davidson, right?
Hey, didn't Arizona have a game tonight?
Here is Peyton. He misses, and the rebound for Tony Parker is back in the game. Starovich pitched it to Bowen. Bowen so good on his threes, usually from the corner. Missed both early. Tried to get an easy 2, but off the mark there. Bowen trying to hound Peyton, who let him go by.
Stiff arm.
Yep. Kind of helped him go by.
All 4 of the big guns out there for LA with Derek Fisher. Ori shoots over Malone.
Oh, you'll give him that one all night.
Shaq there for his 4th rebound. LA 18 boards. San Antonio 18 as well. Ryan hangs in the air for a long time. Still says he's not 100%. After coming off the knee and shoulder injuries from last year. Tony Parker, first shot since he came back into the lineup, and the loose ball foul on Ori as he got a piece of Kobe. Tony Parker is 1 of 7 from the field here tonight.
One thing Gary Payton has brought to the game is a little fast break, push, shove, and he can make the 12-footer when he's not covered. I look like a halfback out there a little bit.
This a little vet move right there. Just kind of help him go by.
How do referees miss out?
Is that a foul?
Yeah, I would think so.
Was it a foul when he played for you?
No.
It's okay. Malone misses. And Peyton is fouled that time by Manu Ginobili. Gary promised to have a little conversation, as is his want normally during the game. He and Manu Ginobili really got into a verbal back and forth in the double overtime game in San Antonio back some 3 weeks ago.
He's really good. His trash talking is very, very good. He's top 5.
He's first ballot Hall of Fame trash talker.
He's very, very good.
Bryant took Bowen, drew the defense. Malone drew the foul on Duncan, who hit the deck hard and is shaken up. The foul was on Tim, but he's the one who took the worst of it. Greg Popovich unhappy that his star is the one who's hurt, and somehow he picked up the foul. And now they will come out to check on him. Duncan holding his head, not sure if it was hit by someone or if it hit the floor. Let's take a peek here.
Well, you're going to watch him jump, and the elbow just hits him right. It looks like right in the temple. And I said earlier, he leads with his elbows. And if you get too close, you're going to catch one of those things. And I'm sure Popovich is arguing, why is that a foul on my guy? He led with his elbow, hit the elbow in his face, and that's what Tim's, I'm sure, saying. And I would concur.
Words for Gary Benson there, and that's about as agitated as you ever see Tim Duncan in conversation with an official. Well, he has an angry look about him. Look at him. Never see Tim that angry.
When Tim Duncan was laying on the floor, I've never seen a whole team come out and surround the player. I mean, concern and appreciation for the greatness of Tim Duncan as a person and a player was shown very much by their basketball team in that display of care and worry.
Well, we seem to kind of dissect players in the fact we'll call them superstars or team players, role players. He's all of the above. He's the ultimate superstar, the ultimate role player, the ultimate team player. I mean, he does everything, and that's why the team respects that guy so much.
Karl Malone took a foot in the face accidentally earlier. Here is Duncan getting the Malone right elbow in the side of the head.
Well, Malone loves body contact. He loves to feel the body before he shoots a shot.
Wouldn't you with that body?
I just love to have that body. I don't care about feeling other bodies. I just take that one.
Take it for one day.
Of course, that takes... No, because then I'd be so mad the next day when I woke up and it was gone.
16 is the largest lead of the night here. 41-25, 3.5 till we get to the Times Square. And the guys show you everything happening on this NBA Friday. Take you around the league. One of the best pictures and best stories. Ori missed it. Bowen was fouled by O'Neal. And that is 3. Let's see, let's make sure if it's Shaq. If it is Shaq, it's 3 on O'Neal. Disbelieving words from the 11th winningest coach in the history of the NBA, Phil Jackson.
You know, Tom, you talked earlier about how Ginobili being a starter has taken the juice from the bench. I really think the hole in this team right now, from a coaching standpoint, is Bruce Bowen and Jackson. I mean, Bruce Bowen is not having an inspirational year yet. And maybe he will have. Maybe he'll bounce back. But there's a little bit of part of me that says he's tired a little bit. And they're just not getting that juice.
Shaq gets a technical on his way to the bench. And Gary Payton trying to play peacemaker with Bernie Fryer on the way over. So O'Neal sits down with 3 fouls, 17 minutes, 0 of 3 from the field, 4 rebounds. Ginobili knocks down the tee, and now Bowen will come back for the second of his 2 free throws.
Has there ever been a time in the history of the NBA where somebody gets a tee, somebody talks to the official, and he says, you know what, I'm going to take that back?
There was a time.
Was it?
Jerry Reynolds fainted on the side of the court once, and they thought he was doing something. Referees gave it to you, and then they rescinded it. He's having a heart attack.
Duncan gets that put back. It becomes a 4-point sequence. 1 made free throw, the tee made by Ginobili, and that put back. So from 16, quickly down to 12 as San Antonio looks for that magical single-digit halftime deficit. Nice find of Grant, who couldn't convert but was fouled by Robert Horry. Duncan slammed the ball to the ground, went high in the air, and he will pick up a technical foul for that. Nope, he won't. I thought he was going to be teed up by Bernie Fryer there, but Bernie's just letting everybody know it's an official timeout. Everybody's a little edgy. There's the holiday spirit, guys. Well, I guess when you've knocked each other out of the playoffs for most of the last 5 years, not really a lot of love left. And when the leftovers won't taste as good because there's some teeth shifted sideways, no reason to be happy there as well.
We'll fast break through all the highlights on a busy night in the association. You know what, guys? Just for fun tonight, let's grab somebody from the crowd. Let's bring somebody in from Times Square. Bring somebody and let them
get the guy in the green.
And you know, who's the guy next to him in the white jacket?
I bet the Magic could use him.
That's the guy the Magic have been looking for all year long. We're going to bring those guys in. We're going to let them come in and get on the set. Baron Davis in Times Square. He'll join us in just a moment. Mike.
We're going in.
Good stuff, guys. Thanks. Hey, the advantages of being down at Times Square. I'm surprised Barron is able to hang there with that post-holiday crowd. And Darryl as well. We look forward to watching those guys coming up at halftime. Well, here's how the quad squad, the Big Four, have done tonight. 24 of the 41 Los Angeles points. O'Neal coming back after missing the last 2 games with a strained right calf. 0 of 3 from the field. 3 personal fouls. So that's meant more time for Horace Grant. Signed this summer. Of course, Grant set out most of 2003. Had that fallout right around this time last year with Doc Rivers in Orlando. I'm going to give it one more chance to grab one more ring. He has 4. 1 here from L.A. and 3 from the first Chicago run, 93 to 95. So another defensive 3 seconds. Another technical foul coming up here on L.A.
Scoreboard. Scoreboard call.
Scoreboard calls? You love those scoreboard calls.
I hate scoreboard calls. We have to explain that someday to the fan what a scoreboard call is.
You know, I asked you a couple of weeks ago and you did, but I think I've got it down.
It's easy.
When it's a 14-point game, down 14, you're more likely to get the defensive 3 seconds than if it was a 3-point game.
Or a 20-point lead, you're more likely to get a...
You're more likely to get a lot of things.
There's a tendency to come back.
That's not the way it works, George. Ask an official. I'm sure you've done that several times.
Ask a coach.
1 to shoot for Duncan, and after 2 unsuccessful shots off the backboard in the first quarter, he makes 1 there. It's 11 with 2.5 to go before halftime.
Well, if the Spurs can make a little run here and get this thing down to 6-7, you'd have to think, hey, we played a horrible first half. They played well, and we're right where we want to be in striking range.
Duncan still out there on Malone after taking his shot from the elbow last time. 5 to shoot. Payton shakes the double with the dribble. Grant, I thought he got some air there. Apparently not. So did Popovich. Duncan trying to hit Ori. That pass is incomplete. It'll be 2nd down.
No, that was air for Horace Grant.
Oh, it was?
Curveball.
Thank you. Saturday and Sunday, there'll be plenty of NBA action, including a good game here Sunday with the Pacers and the Lakers. But the Staples Center crowd entertained here on Friday night with the defending champion Spurs. A good test back-to-back here for L.A. They've played not as many tough games in the last couple of weeks.
The Lakers have gone to dribbling offense
on Devin George, who took the worst of that collision with Robert Horry.
They're much more effective when they're passing than dribbling.
Well, NBA TV, tomorrow night you'll see the Minnesota Timberwolves and Kevin Garnett take on Dallas, perhaps coming off that Denver loss. And TNT's doubleheader, Bulls 76ers on Thursday, and Lakers Mavericks will be the back end of that. Chance to see Scott Skiles, one of his early games as the Bulls head coach. Duncan climbed across the lane. Devin George pulls down the rebound. Kobe's open, bottom of your screen for a second, but Bruce Bowen shuts that off. Bryant fought through. Nice job by Kobe to lose the defender and get to 8 points.
And a great pass by Karl Malone, too, who has also become a better post passer as the years have gone on. I mean, he just basically works at his game. It's a lot of hard work he's put into it.
Duncan got close, got the second try, couldn't get it. Ori crashes the glass, and the foul is called. So without O'Neal there, they're able to attack down low a little bit more. 1 on Horace Grant.
And you're going to see Malone in the post. Look, he's looking. He's looking. He's open. Boom, right over the top of Ori's head. And that was quick. Catch, quickly get it up before Bowen has a chance to come over and score the bucket. But it's amazing what kind of player Malone is now compared to what he was in the rookie. He's always been tremendous, but he's evolved as a passer. He's evolved as a shooter. He has just put so much time, his body, he's like touching his biceps going, damn, those are big. He had some huge guns. But, I mean, everything.
How many compliments are we going to give him today?
I don't know, man.
He's a nice guy this morning. His shooting around like
those guns are huge.
Loving him.
It's so interesting, though, guys. You see those numbers, 25 points a game on average, 15 this year, but he's not miserable or sour about it.
I just respect the work that he's put in. Time and time again, running the hills, doing what he does. He could have very easily called it a Hall of Fame career 4 or 5 years ago. I don't like the fact that he swings elbows all over the place, to be honest with you.
Malik Rose was ducking away from that. George, excuse me, I'll take the jumper. And it was dwindling down towards 10 or 9 points. It's quickly back up to 15 with a half minute to go. Parker got in and got one.
San Antonio's got to find some offense, some rhythm other than Duncan.
4 seconds the difference between the shot and the game clock, and the Lakers will take all they can. George faked the 3. Shot clock violation. Even the bailout by Malone didn't touch the rim, so the Spurs will have 3.7 to shoot.
You get the foul sometimes when you got lead too.
Have you noticed the confidence in George's just demeanor, the way he carries himself? Kevin George. I mean, I think he feels like he belongs now. Like he belongs on this team. He's earned the right to be one of the starters, and he's playing like it.
Ginobili sees 3 Lakers, tries to find someone open. Bryant, that is good if it goes, but it is gone. As we come to the end of the first half. The first half where Tim Duncan has 9 and 9, a shot to the side of the head. He's missed 5 field goals, has no assist, and a couple of personal fouls. Meantime, the Lakers have spread it around. 8 for Malone, 8 for Payton, and 8 for Kobe, who's with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much. Hey, Kobe, the last time you played these guys on this court, you left this game in tears. You were eliminated. How much of that lingers in this game?
A little bit. You know, when you get a team back, it's really in the playoffs. And right now, it's a good matchup against 2 tough teams. To try to set up to have the best record at the end of the regular season to have home court advantage. But when you get a team back, it's in the playoffs.
Is this the most important game that maybe this team has played in November?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good test for us. It's a good test for them. We just want to win and continue our streak going of good basketball and, try to extend our record.
Final thought, you got your baby Natalia here for the first time to see you play. What does that mean to you?
It means the world to me. It means the world to me, man.
All right, Kobe, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Mike.
All right, Jim, there is Natalia. It's about a year old with Kobe's wife, Vanessa, here watching the game. First game Natalia's been here to see her daddy play. Coming up, the Toyota halftime report. B. Denny, Baron Davis in the studio. Magic looking for that elusive second win. And the fast break highlights. Kevin Frazier, Greg Anthony, Bill Laimbeer coming up from Times Square in New York. Lakers lead the Spurs by 13 at the half.
One of the Fab 4 for the Lakers, 8 points, 4 assists. And the Lakers rolling. Those new additions helping them out. Maybe the subtraction for San Antonio hurting them. Welcome inside our Times Square studio. And we promised we were going to pull somebody out of the crowd. And look who we found. Baron Davis joins us. And as always, Bill and Greg here. Baron Davis, a guy who has made more threes than 10 teams in the NBA and still manages to dish out 8 assists a game. Baron, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're taking it to a different level with the yellow diamonds, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, man. I had to switch it up. I'm tired of white diamonds. Got to go to yellow.
That's a luxury.
That's my outfit.
That's a luxury that some of us just don't have. But we do have the fast break highlights. So let's go through a busy night in the association. We'll start with Philly and Indiana, AI and crew, and AI averaging 28 points, but Iverson a rough night. He was 4 of 19 from the floor, 12 points. Philly trailing at the half. How about Jermaine O'Neal, Bill? Best center in the Essential?
No, Ben Wallace is the best center in the Essential. But Jermaine O'Neal had a fine game. Indiana is playing outstanding basketball.
And so did Ron Artest. How tough is Ron Artest, Baron?
Very tough. A warrior, relentless on the defensive end, and his offensive game is really improving.
Cavaliers and the Pistons, game 1 of our doubleheader. You know what? This is a heck of a play, Greg Anthony.
A heck of a play by a heck of a player, LeBron James.
Just 6 points for LeBron, but the story of this game, Bill, was Rip Hamilton who ripped it up.
Yeah, Chauncey Billups struggled throughout the game, but Rip came through 40-plus tonight. Outstanding game he played.
And he's one of those shooters, Baron, a guy who can fill it up.
Best mid-range game in the league right now, and a guy who has an excellent stroke.
Is that a team you can beat in the Central?
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, the Cleveland Cavaliers, you look at it, and the losses mounting. Now, 31 straight road losses if you go back to last season, and they're creeping up on the Kings, who own the record at 43. Continue to roll through the highlights. Minnesota and Memphis, and Minnesota on the run. Sam Cassell finds KG the big ticket, and he punches it. He had 21. Fourth quarter, T-Wolves up by a nickel. Mike Miller, and boy, did they miss him in Orlando, Greg.
They miss a lot of people in Orlando.
They miss Darryl Armstrong in Orlando, too. I know that. Later, fourth quarter, Sam Cassell. Bill?
Reigns.
Was he in Orlando?
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't in Orlando,
that's a big win
but
for
they
the
can use him right now. Big win for the Timberwolves, 102-98, your final. Toronto, Orlando, and Vince Carter taking on his cousin, T-Mac. First quarter, Vince guarding McGrady. T-Mac The three off the pick, Magic up by a deuce. Late, McGrady, clutch jumper. How good is McGrady, Barron?
Very, 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 very good.
All right, how very good is he?
He's one of the best players in this league, man.
Problem is, late, Gordon Garachek with the shot that I don't think they won. I think they won the ball in T-Mac's hands, and for some reason, late, he never gets the ball for Orlando. It is now 14 and counting, and the folks behind us in the Times Square studio going crazy. But Orlando, real quick, Barron, what is in your assessment, what's the problem?
I think those guys aren't really playing off of T-Mac. You know, he in Denver, he had the 50-point game, and nobody else stepped up. I think they have to, you know, get offensive rebounds, you know, find ways to get easy baskets. And that's the only way you're going to score and win ball games, because they're in the games down the stretch. But a lot of the rebounds and not getting second-chance points are really hurting them right now.
There's a lot of weight to carry, though, isn't it, Bill?
It gets discouraging every night for T-Mac. And, you know, at some point they got to break out of it or they're going to set the record.
Well, losing besieges losing, and that's what's happening. This team is getting accustomed to losing. I think they're starting to expect to lose, and that is not a real good formula if you want to play in the NBA.
All right, meanwhile, we see Indiana, and one of the teams you have to battle in Central, Barron. Can you beat that team? Somebody's paging you because you're on TV. I know that. Don't worry. That's what happens.
You know what it is, man? They realize I'm on TV, and they start calling. Wait till I get off TV and start calling me, man.
Now, as for Indiana, maybe it's Indiana paging you. I don't know. What's it going to take for you guys to beat Indiana?
We had a great battle at our house, you know, down in New Orleans, and they beat us by 1 point. But you know, we're two tough defensive teams, and I think that, you know, our big guys as well as our guards got to come in and night out and play against them. It'll definitely be a team we'll play in the playoffs.
Now, although I do think you've been the MVP thus far this season, what I'm interested to know is how is it going to work when Jamal Mashburn comes back?
Our offense is designed for, you know, basically for Mash and a lot of his post-up opportunities. And
that's not what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's what we're missing. You know what? We're missing a lot of scoring. Our defense is really carrying us, but we're missing Mashburn scoring and his playmaking ability. I think when he comes back, it'll be easier for me. I'm not going to stop shooting my threes and taking my shots, but it'll be easier for me.
All right, we have more to talk about that team and things going on in the Central, but quickly, we go to break because, you know, we got to pay the bills, Greg. You know that. Kobe Bryant, you saw him just kiss his daughter and his wife. He has 8 points, and the Lakers up 47-34. We'll be back in a moment.
This halftime show is presented by Toyota. Get the feeling. A great moment in world football.
And away we go. Bayern Munich attacking the goal.
Well, that's a magnificent save, and it's a bullet off the inside of the post. Kyle with no chance. Boy, does he pick out the corner of that one.
The guy sweeps it in, and Hedman misjudges it.
Goal ESPN, your connection to the best. In the ring, it's one-on-one action. Your hands are your only weapon. Your body, your opponent's target. And in any moment, your brain will tell you it's time to take a nap. Top-rate boxing every week on ESPN.
The matchups are set and the rivalries are real. Mirror versus Bestwick. Burnquist versus Lasek. Metzger versus Pastrana. X Games 9, only on ESPN.
The passion of Spanish football is on ESPN this Monday. Valladolid shocked Atletico Madrid last week, and now they visit Barcelona at the Nou Camp. Will they shock again in La Liga? Find out Monday. Live 500 Sydney, 700 Auckland on ESPN.
The NBA on ESPN. The league's hottest rookie, Brazil's hottest export. King James and the Cavs meet Nene and the Nuggets. Live Wednesday, the NBA on ESPN.
great golf action coming in December to ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Welcome back to the Toyota Halftime Show.
It's almost like the Lakers have a cast of thousands. Now Brian Russell in, and he's flowing. Lakers up big over San Antonio at the half. We go back to our fast break highlights in Milwaukee taking on the Celtics. Baron Davis, Paul Pierce, California guy, your homie, and he was on.
Yep, California love Paul Pierce, one of the most unstoppable forces one-on-one in this league, and now he's starting to really carry him by assisting the ball and rebounding and doing some other things to help his team win.
Ray LaFrentz was also back, Bill, and he had a good night.
Yeah, nice 14-point night for Ray LaFrentz.
All right, Paul, though, the triple-double in that game. How about the Hawks? They overwhelmed the Heat, Stan Van Gundy's team. A terrible third quarter. They just scored 10 points. That's why they lose 95-83. We continue to roll through the highlights. Dallas and Denver, and Michael Finley pulls up for the Trey Punte. Mavericks up 89-87. But Bashan Leonard, who's been playing well lately, Greg.
He's been playing very well, and Denver has been playing well. I'm a little disappointed in the Mavericks in the fact that they still don't try and play any defense.
How about Josh Howard with the three? It's good. Mavericks still trail. Denver leading 103-100. Carmelo Anthony shoots the three, no good. But Marcus Camby, who has had a renaissance in sense with the bucket there. Sonics lose to the Jazz 98-81. It's like the Jazz are unbeatable at home. Greg Ostertag didn't play in that game.
They play very hard. Trey Sloan's doing a great job.
Hard to believe they didn't win without Ostertag.
And what about the Suns, Greg? They lose to the Warriors, and the woes mounting.
Playing to the level of their competition right now. This team has got to light a fire and start competing.
Kings, your Kings, Bill, overwhelmed the Rockets.
The Rockets, all the Van Gundys can't score these days.
and the Trailblazers with a 4-point cushion over the Nets. Welcome back inside the Times Square studio. Baron Davis hanging out with us, the folks here. Well, it's a holiday season, so they wanted to come down and hang out with us also. Baron, real quick, okay? We're going to play a little game we like to call friend or foe. I'm going to throw some things out there. You tell me whether it's a friend or foe, okay?
All right.
All right. We're going to start with your college coach, Steve Lavin. Friend or foe?
Friend.
Whoa, that's not what you told me off the camera.
Definitely a friend.
Okay.
Definitely a friend.
All right, if you say.
He recruited me, man.
Okay, you had a good summer. You worked out, lost some weight, but that jambalaya down there, friend or foe?
Definitely a foe. I got to stay away from the jambalaya, all the meat and seasoning and all that, pack on that weight, so definitely a foe. Not a vegetarian.
Go vegetarian.
All
right, and what about the free throw line? It's been a foe in the past. Is it a friend or foe?
Definitely been a foe in the past, but I'm going to say friend because, I've been working with my coaches, day in and day out after practice, and the last couple of games I've been shooting them okay.
Baron, right now you guys playing well. You're here with Darryl Armstrong, and you know what is going on with your team? Is it Tim Floyd that's helping you? I mean, because Greg has said on several occasions that it's Tim Floyd.
Excuse me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thanks, Greg. Baron, thanks for hanging out with us, man. It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
You see all the love the guy has for your coach?
That's my man.
And the yellow diamonds?
You know.
They're for superstars. When I sign my max contract, I'll get some.
All right.
Lakers with the big lead at the half over San Antonio.
This halftime show is presented by Toyota. Get the feeling.
From Times Square, we bring it back out here after the break to Southern California. Lakers leading San Antonio by 13 with Jim Gray, George Carlin, Tom Tolbert, Mike Tirico. Glad to have you back with us. The on-star game track, for those of you who didn't get the entire first half, the Spurs equal a season-low 34 points in the first half. Go back to the Dallas game, second full week of the season. Last time San Antonio had a half that poor. The Lakers, 19 field goals, 15 of them assisted. That's why they are shooting 51% from the field and getting good production from the other guys. Devin George, Derek Fisher, each with 7. The bench has outscored the San Antonio bench 14-5. Guys, look at the second half. How do the Spurs get back in the game, George?
Well, they got to make some shots. Right now, they have no rhythm at the offensive end of the court. I think L.A. has basically dominated the basketball game until the last 3 or 4 minutes of the second quarter, where they almost got back under 10. But right now, the Lakers got everything going.
Tommy? How about the fact that you have 10 offensive rebounds, You've held Shaq to no field goals, and you're down 13. Down 13. They just got to make those shots when they're open and probably not turn the ball over.
Devin George takes it away, goes all the way, scoring with one.
That's a good defensive play right there by Gary Payton, just standing there. Actually, just got the ball thrown off his knee and throw it out to Devin George. And that's a type of play where you just get yourself caught in midair and you're not really sure what you're going to do, and you throw it off another player, leads to an easy bucket.
The Lakers are going to have 5 or 6 guys in double figures a lot of nights this year. They've already had a lot of games already, and tonight they got 4 or 5 on the way to double figures. That's just you win as a team, and this team is playing as a team.
Mobley missed the 3. Loose ball foul on Nesterovic. Let's go visit with Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, I spoke to Greg Popovich as he came out after the half. I asked him, was he upset with the physical nature of this game? He said, no, not at all. What I'm upset with is that only one guy of mine came to play tonight, Manu Ginobili. Everybody else is just kind of going through the motions out there. He's not happy about that at all. He said, Ginobili's the only one that brought it. I said, why, with so much, even though it's only November, writing in this game, a message game, would that be the case? He says, I don't know. If I knew that, I'd have all the answers. I'd tell him, but I don't have the answers right now. Mike?
Jim Bryant tried the handoff, then ended up picking up the foul. So San Antonio, 3 quick fouls here in the first 43 seconds of this third quarter. Duncan just picked up his third.
I got one for you, Tom.
Yeah.
There's a theory amongst coaches that games around holidays, players have a tendency to lose their direction and their focus. Now, you were a player. Did you kind of, like if you watch the games before Thanksgiving, 30-point blowout, 25-point blowout. Now, this is a big game. I mean, I think I was ready for the game. You can seem ready for the game. And
well, as far as I'm concerned, generally it doesn't take a holiday for me to lose my focus. I can lose it at any time of the year. But I remember one time, Nelly, when I was playing for Golden State, Don Nelson gave us a day off and let us fly up to Utah the night before. I forget whether it was Thanksgiving or something like that. We got beat by 32 points. That was not a fun locker room at the end of the game.
Duncan got hit across the arm by Karl Malone. George, was there any devices you tried to use when the team was playing around a holiday to make sure that the focus was there?
Well, sometimes you just brought it up to their attention. The days that we always talked about was Thanksgiving, New Year's, and the day before All-Star break. Everybody was where they were going already the day before. If you had a away game the day when you were breaking for All-Star break, that was a tough win.
Well, especially if you got down early. Then guys just start drifting in that second half.
Yeah,
if you didn't get up early, you were in trouble. But I'm not going to sit here and disagree with Coach Popovich, but I think, they got 10 offensive rebounds. I think they're playing relatively hard. They've missed some easy, wide-open shots.
O'Neal trying to get that first field goal, defended by Nesterovic. Shaq now 0 of 4 from the field tonight.
That was a real nice job by Nesterovic playing defense. As soon as Shaq turned his head and couldn't see him, he backed off him. So when he made that spin move, he didn't have a body to feel to go for the shot.
Bowen couldn't get the 3 going. Nesterovic had no shot. It took a shot, but it had no shot. Malone joins the play. Comes up short on that one. He's hit so many of those over his career.
I think one thing Gary Payton brings to the Lakers that I haven't seen the last couple of years, he speeds them up.
Yep.
He makes them run up and down the court. And I like it. I like that energy. I think in the end, in the playoffs, Shaq's going to be the guy touching the ball. But Gary and Kobe are so good in the open court that that's a good ingredient that Payton brings to this team.
Shaq, there's your first one. Feed the big fella. He knew he was going to finally get a field goal. Staples Center fans coming back from halftime, happy about that. Duncan, nice handoff, and Parker gets back-to-back field goals.
Well, if they're going to come back in this game, he's going to have a big hand in it. And not only scoring, he didn't shoot very well in the first half. Tony Parker's only 2 for 8. He's going to have to get more involved in distributing the ball and get other people's shots. He's just going to have to be more aggressive overall.
Payton tried to post Parker there. A lot of hands and feet, still pulled it away. Bryant will take the shot with the clock coming down. Kobe hit the deck very hard, but made the field goal. He now has 11 to lead L.A. Ginobili had a free 3, went in for the 2, and made it.
I think as this season goes on, the backcourt is going to be the key. I think Shaq and Duncan will end up basically canceling each other out. And it's going to be the young Parker, young Ginobili versus Peyton and Bryant, where the outcome's going to be determined.
How good was that pass from Karl Malone to Gary Payton?
You know what it reminds you of? It reminds you of watching Divac and Brad Miller and Chris Webber up in Sacramento, the way Peyton's cutting off Malone and Malone's finding him cutting to the bucket.
Gary's been getting like 1 or 2 of them a game in the last couple of weeks. He's learning to move without the basketball.
If you're at guard and you know your big man's looking for you, you're going to cut. You're going to make that effort to cut and keep your head on a swivel.
Karl Malone has 7 assists here tonight, thanks to our stat man, Marty Aronoff. Big hands from Malone, knocked it away. He's bodying up here on Duncan, forced him to give it up. Ginobili, heart in the air, Peyton on the push. Devin George is a good finisher as well. That time he ran to the line for the 3. Ginobili does a nice job of keeping it alive, and it's a free 2 for Bowie. Back to 14.
So everybody really hustling to get down there and pick the ball out, aren't they? I mean, come on, fellas. A little bit of hustle. Nah, I don't want to do it. You do it.
Quick delivery to O'Neal. No time for the double team to come over as Shaq attacked the basket. And the foul is called there. All right, did you see that pass from Karl Malone a moment ago? Let's get another look at that one.
Well, when you're a guard, you're going to cut hard to the bucket. Look at that. He drops it out there. And the key is he doesn't throw it at Peyton. He throws it out in front of Peyton and just drops it. And Peyton runs under and gets it and able to make the layup. Look at that. 8, and 7. It's a nice work.
Not one of the prettier O'Neal misses. I mentioned Shaq's free throw percentage right around 50 thus far this season. And he missed them both there. He's 2 of 6 tonight. You talk about working on it, getting better, improving. He's just around a 50% free throw shot, a little bit above 50%. And you can't see it getting much better. He's worked on it. Parker, he was trying to make a decision on how to lose O'Neal.
Nice outlet.
To Peyton, to George, to the hoop. For 3.
That's an example of an in-out game caused by penetration. Peyton drove it right to the paint and threw it out for the 3.
Nice story on the Kia NBA shoot-around about Devin George as the 5th Beatle in many regards. And boy, his confidence is what Tom mentioned in the first half. Really looks like a much different player this year. Peyton spinning and twirling. Drives to Shaq. Bang in the bucket. Well, it is November, but the Lakers are playing with the enthusiasm of April.
Oh, look out. The buttocks.
Shaq now 2 of 7 from the line. Lead up to 19. The foul on Nesterovic was his 4th personal foul. And people have talked about what will the difference be without David Robinson and with Rasho Nesterovic. 3 tries there. Duncan's pass to Nesterovic. Off his hands, and back comes Payton like a track meet. Kobe, triple. San Antonio timeout. Lakers. Parker's going to blow off the timeout. He should have taken it. Pops his hands in pocket. Kobe wants another one. O'Neal, eyes wide open, smiling. Gosh, are they having fun? Gary Payton. Now the timeout's coming. LA is extended to a 24-point lead over San Antonio. Right in the middle of it, Karl Malone, Utah Jazz, 1985, drafted on through MVP seasons, and now his first season away from Salt Lake City. One of the 50 greatest of all time, second all-time scoring, so durable. Karl Malone, the little things, a big part of what's going on here in LA.
I want to do this. I want to do this for these guys. I want to show I don't pick. I want to rebound. I want to do the thing, and not just about scoring. And I think guys appreciate that, a pass. My goodness, I've never seen guys appreciate a pass so much as guys on this team, and it make you want to do it more, and then it rub off. It get contagious.
And boy, you can see it here tonight with Malone, just 2 points, 2 assists, and a rebound shy of a triple-double here tonight.
I think one thing's going to validate Gary Payton and Karl Malone's season, and that's winning a championship. Numbers don't matter. They're not playing for contracts or contract extensions. They all have the money. They all have the respect around the league. It's about, can you win a championship?
Devin Brown has come in the game out of Texas San Antonio, second-year man, 6'5". Ron Mercer in as well, and a foul on Mercer up top. Well, George, you spent some time. You sat down to do those interviews with Karl and Gary Payton today. You find a Karl Malone who's buying in even more than you thought he might buy into this?
I thought he was very emotional about being here. You know, emotional about leaving. He talked a little bit about Stockton and the comparison between Stockton and Gary Payton. But his mother died this past summer, and I think he's just reflecting a lot about, he likes the decision of coming here, trying to win a championship. Money's not important to him, the little things. He's just talking about a lot of the intangibles of the game of basketball that I think he wants to bring to this basketball team.
What an interesting night it's going to be for Karl in 9 nights when he's here in the Staples Center in a Laker uniform, and on the opposite bench is Jerry Sloan. First game against Utah comes up a week from Sunday. San Antonio can't get out of its own way now, down 25. Lakers just loving it here. Bryant tried to make the circus shot. Malone missed the putback. O'Neal hits the deck after he was fouled. Oh, you're looking for a place to get all the latest fantasy basketball news? You can watch Virtual GM every night at 1 a.m. Eastern on NBA TV for the only show on TV dedicated to fantasy basketball. And of course, it's at 10 p.m. Pacific.
I think you got to mention a little bit, since we're complimenting Karl Malone so much tonight, his defense tonight against Duncan.
Been very good.
There's been a presence here. Yeah, it hasn't been stopped, but there has been a presence by Karl Malone on Tim Duncan.
Shaq hits the free throw. He's now 3 of 8. Even last year, when O'Neal played only 67 games, he went to the line 725 times. He just gets to the line on a regular basis. And last year got it up to 62%. Career 54% shooter.
You know what's surprising about him is it's not every game he's 6 for 10 or 5 for 10. He goes through these stretches where he's 2 for 18, and then all of a sudden he concentrates or does whatever, makes 15 out of his next 18.
Mercer lost it. Bryant to Malone. And now the Lakers will set up half court. Could be another assist for Karl. George knocks it down. So Malone now has 9 assists to go with his 10 rebounds and 8 points. Looking for his 4th career triple-double. This is a foul on Gary Payton. The Lakers have been great sharing the ball tonight. 23 assists on 28 field goals. Speaking to what Malone mentioned to you in that interview we just played, George.
He just really enjoys giving up the ball. This time, Devin George makes the hard cut. He just hands the ball off. Gets a pretty easy 12-footer. This game's going towards 30.
Duncan off the mark. Tim is 3 of 10 on the field, but comes away with an easy steal there. Shots, open floor skills. Give him an assist as Tony Parker gets the layup.
I like him there.
The man's 7 foot.
That was pretty good.
That was really good.
And that stops a 14-0 Laker run. Kobe kicked it off his heel. Malone gets it back. And that's another assist. That's 10 assists. Devin George gets the hoop. So Malone gets a field goal, and he'll have his 4th career triple-double.
He's like Curly Neal out there tonight. Throwing balls all over the place, all different kinds of angles.
Starovich rebounds the Parker miss. Ron Mercer, hand check call on Gary Payton. Get both hands on him. That's an automatic easy call. 3 on Gary Payton.
How do you see that one?
He's just feeling it right now. He is absolutely feeling it. See his little yellow amongst the contrasting black? Boom.
At ties Carl's career high for assists with 10. Shaquille O'Neal comes to the bench. 24 minutes, 7 points thus far.
Wow. They don't get any easier than that, do they?
No. Payton finds Devin George. Malone for a triple-double. Rebound by George. See, all that timer on John Stockton, it's rubbed off. Parker thought he had all ball. But he's whistled for the foul.
I think maybe he knows he has 10 assists because as soon as he got that 10th assist, he shot the next time. So, you know, I got 10 now. Let's go ahead and round this thing out.
It's his career high. He doesn't want to go any higher than that.
Robert Horry watching his old team do a lot of the things, and he was wearing the purple and gold that he was a part of. This Laker team looks like the Laker team we saw back in 2001, 2002 during their back-to-back world championships. Parker tried a little teardrop coming through the lane. No Shaq there. Those shots open up. San Antonio's done that tonight, but that's about it. Down 28 as we approach 3 minutes here in the third. LA looking to improve its best in the West record. Trying to get to 13-3. Here's Malone. That's a triple-double. 4th time in Karl Malone's career, a triple-double, and it's all even now. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists.
That's a nice line. I wish I could get that one time.
You know what? He's got 11 rebounds. And he got the last rebound down there on that ugly miss before. Slapped that one out, but Devin Brown kept it alive. Fresh shot clock. And the second-year man at Texas San Antonio creates the foul on Devin George. 2.5 left. It is all L.A. leading by 30. Karl Malone, a triple-double here tonight. Done a lot of things in one of the great, for sure, Hall of Fame NBA career. But you were here on the night that was the 4th time in his career he gets a triple-double. First time in 4 years. New Jersey Nets in the news so much this week. In Portland tonight. How'd they do? Kevin Company have the answer when we come back.
Brought to you by AT&T. Nets and Blazers and Jason Kidd keeping the Nets in the game with just a minute to play. He drains the 3. He finished with 27, but look at David Stoudemire's shot, Bill.
Hey, deep, deep, deep.
Good night now. Blazers knock off the Nets. And how about your Kings?
Sacramento rounding into shape, but Houston, boy, they just struggle to score.
Are the Lakers making a statement tonight?
Sure looks that way, but if you're San Antonio, you got to be real concerned about what's going on in this game.
All right, let's head back to the Staples Center and Mike. Guys?
Kevin Lamb will talk more about that in a minute, but you showed the Nets and certainly with the impactful NBA story of this week. Alonzo Mourning, the career that started in Charlotte, thrived under Pat Riley and that defensive style in Miami, and just a month here with the Nets, and forced to retire as his kidney ailment continued to deter him. Really, you know, Shaquille O'Neal is often talked about with David Robinson, some of the other big guys, but in the draft, they were 1-2 back in 1992. And, you know, they had some battles, although infrequent because of the opposite coast. But in the early days in Orlando, when Mourning was in Charlotte, those two guys went head-to-head a bunch of times. And O'Neal had a nice comment on the departure of Alonzo, that family and life and health more important, obviously, than basketball. And that's obviously the sentiment all of us extend our best wishes to Zoe. But certainly a tough situation that the Nets will have to deal with here for a variety of reasons. One, on the floor. And second, financially as well.
I mean, he was a ferocious competitor. Night in and night out, every minute he was on the court, he competed, and he competed hard. Now, if you don't have Mutombo anymore, you're missing in the middle. boy, he's playing well. But defensively, you know, where do you have that? Do they have an attitude defensively? What's going on here? We just had 4 points scored.
Certainly a response
game quickening.
By the way, the Devin George hoop gives him a season high now, 19 points.
But the one thing about New Jersey is they start their fast break a lot with their defense. And I don't know, with Zoe not being there, although he was only playing about 20 minutes a game, are they going to be able to get back to playing that type of defense that led them to the championship last year?
I disagree with you. I think right now New Jersey's going to have the same basketball team they had last year. Batumbo didn't play last year for him. They brought Mourning in because they thought that would build up and prosper with him in there. Now they don't have him. They're going to play Aaron Williams. They're going to play Collins, and they're going to play those guys, and they're going to figure it out. They're going to play with. I think I've seen them play a couple times on this road trip, and they're playing with a lot of energy. And I'm really feeling they might get back to their old identity. Maybe they didn't like their new identity, and they're going to go back to their old identity.
The foul on Ratcho Nesterovic is 5th. The lead here is 28. Let's check with Jim Gray for a second.
You guys are talking about Alonzo Mourning as Gary Payton puts in another basket, put the lead back up to 30. But Alonzo Mourning had a chance to talk to him a couple weeks ago, Mike, when we did the Nets game, and he was so grateful for this opportunity. He said he was playing basketball this time, not because he had to, but because he wanted to, and how it had been taken away the last time, and he was so grateful this time to be out there. Said he was noticing the ushers at the game, noticing the ball boys, talking to the fans, taking in every moment, and it was just something that was much different experience for him than it had been in the past, and now this comes up and happens. But what's to say, guys, I'd like to ask you, that he doesn't play should he get the kidney transplant and be okay? Sean Elliott has even indicated that, our colleague, publicly this week.
You're exactly right, Jim. And it's the point with us being close to Sean and getting to know him and all the folks back in San Antonio, obviously, where Sean living down there and the success with the Spurs and then coming back after that. And I think everyone's natural reaction is first his health, and he's not going to play anymore because of the need for the transplant. And Sean's happened so quickly because of the match within the family. And we just hope that for so many reasons that Alonzo's health is able to keep him around basketball in whatever capacity it is, whether it's media, if he's able to play again, because he's a good person to have around the game.
Yeah, well, without sounding too harsh, I mean, it wasn't like he was an impact player this year. He's been out 2.5 years. Sean wasn't out of the game that long. He'd missed the better part of 3 years. So even if you do bring him back, he decides to play, what are you talking about? Maybe next year, at the end of next year? You know, it'd be difficult.
Travel here on Horace Grant. The Laker lead is 29. In case you're wondering why all the noise, they're getting the waves going. They've become bored, and they have no place to go.
Please, anything but that. Well, no, I'll take the wave over the thunder sticks, I guess. They're probably doing a thunderstick wave.
The Spurs have not cracked 20 in any quarter, and they need a hoop here to get over 20 in the third. And a chance to do that from the line for Ron Mercer.
Scoreboard. Oh, this is way beyond that. This is way beyond that. You know, if I was Nesterovic, I'd just whack somebody right here. I'd whack around the back of the head on the free throw and get out of here. I'd just get out of here. Let's go.
One more coming for Ron Mercer, 2 years at Kentucky. Our team to the Final Four, the championship there in '96. Came into the league as an all-rookie player. Seen him in Boston, Orlando, Chicago, Indiana. And now after being at the end of the bench in Indiana last year, signs with San Antonio on the trade, three-way trade the offseason. Gary Payton makes it a 29-point lead as time expires in the third with a Parker missed three. Wow. Statement from the Lakers. O'Neal first game back after missing a couple. 7, but Bryant, Payton, and Malone getting it done. And oh, by the way, the fifth Beatle, Devin George, has a season-high 19. Karl Malone has a triple-double. And L.A. just had its best quarter of the season. They snapped off a snappy 37 in the third. And all the big names made big plays. Off we go to the fourth. And L.A. putting on a show. And this night after Thanksgiving, Denzel Washington here at the Staples Center, taking in a Lakers dominating performance. And there's a Damon Wayans of My Wife and Kids, seen weekly, part of the primetime lineup on ABC. We are not too far away next holiday, guys, from being back at work on ABC Christmas night. The Lakers will be part of our Christmas night doubleheader on ABC. They're dominating the Spurs here, 84-55, but the three of us will spend Christmas together, and boy, I'm looking forward to that, in the Times Square studio. And then the Rockets will play the Lakers as part of our doubleheader. Sacramento-Dallas is the other game on Christmas night.
Well, congratulations, Spurs. You just put up 21 points, your highest scoring quarter of the game. Bad news is you got outscored by 16.
And Derek Fisher splashes down one to start the fourth. The way the game has gone, LA has shut down San Antonio on the offensive end. Spurs have struggled to shoot 30% in the first three quarters, and LA has been just great offensively.
I thought tonight you had two games I thought were really big games in the NBA. You had Sacramento versus Houston. Houston number 1 in defense. San Antonio versus LA. San Antonio number 3 in defense. Playing the first and second offensive basketball teams. I think the offense won tonight.
Yeah, offense definitely won. That's an A in my book right there. You know how much I love defense. I know. I'm all about the offense.
That was an interesting shot, guys, as Rose makes the first. Greg Popovich down there talking to Ginobili and Parker and Duncan and Bowen. Just a little conversation as those guys sit there at the end of the bench to start the fourth quarter. Probably where they'll stay most of this game.
I bet you hit him pretty hard at half. But I think he knows that, hey, this is one of those games we got away from us. I'm not going to, beat it into their heads at the end of the game how poorly we played. I think we know we played poorly. And he said before the game we were talking to him, he thinks he's the luckiest coach in the NBA because he has a guy in Tim Duncan that he can read. And the barometer of the team, whether they need to be chastised, they need to be patted on the butt, they need to be given a day off, they need to work an extra hour of practice, and he can get that from Tim Duncan. Not a lot of guys get that from their superstar.
Kevin Brown out of control coming down the lane, trying to do it on effort. Jim?
Mike, it was also pretty interesting and funny when he got the group together a couple days ago and he said, who in here besides Tim Duncan is an all-star? And he was looking at Tony Parker, and Tony said, no, coach, no, I'm not an all-star. And they all kind of fall in line. He said, I need role players. We know Tim's the all-star. You guys know he's the all-star. The rest of you just do your jobs. Mike?
86-57. George, did you ever... As Kareem Rush takes it two, his foot was on the line and knocks it down. The second-year man out of Missouri has been slid to the end of the bench with all the big names coming in. He's still a guy with plenty of promise and a sweet stroke. Did you ever enjoy a big loss because now you knew when you came back in the gym, the next practice, you were going to have their attention and you were going to have a chance for a teaching opportunity?
I've always thought losing was a better teacher than winning. And I think young coaches sometimes use losing as a whipping post.
Right.
And that's when you got to go into the gym, and they want to know what went wrong tonight. They want to know why they got killed, and they'll listen tomorrow. They'll be alert. They'll listen tomorrow. As where sometimes if you lost this game by 5 or 6 points, they probably think we're okay. Hey, Lakers got lucky. They may bet more shots than we did. But tomorrow they're going to be searching, and I think Pop will do a great job of bringing them some information.
I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
I was just going to tell you, the San Antonio team plays tomorrow at Golden State. Right down the road from you, Tom, if you want to stop by and watch.
I won't be there. You won't? No, I'm staying in L.A. for the weekend.
Oh, good. The Spurs come back here to play the Clippers on Monday night.
I probably won't be there either.
Right, and then they go back home to play the Lakers on Wednesday.
I might be there. Probably not. Got a little poker this weekend. The buddies together.
I think anybody cares.
It might. Hey, ESPN World Series of Poker today. Weren't you watching? Chris Moneymaker.
Pushing and shoving between Medvedenko and Malik Rose, and the foul is on Rose. Rose kept Medvedenko from the ball.
Do you know it's a craze in sweeping the nation, poker on TV?
Oh, it is. It's
good. Exactly.
The camera in the tables changed that whole deal.
Makes it a lot more fun to watch now. You a poker guy, George?
I can't believe that's getting ratings.
There's a lot of things out there that are worse than that that are getting ratings.
In an attempt to keep our rating, Grant misfires, and Brown comes away with the ball. Kevin Brown and Jason Hart, when we're all standing in midcourt, the SBC Center, confetti coming down, trophies being handed out to guys like Kevin Willis, appearing in his 1,350th regular season game here tonight. As he makes that field goal, I don't think any of us thought at some point when playing the Lakers next year, the Spurs will have a backcourt of Devin Brown and Jason Hart. But they do. Kareem Rush connects.
Well, for Devin Brown, Jason Hart, Kareem Rush, young guys in this game, these are important minutes for them. It's not only you playing, the Lakers and Spurs are watching, there's a lot of other people to watch too. You have to remember that as a young player. Every time you go out on the court, the league's watching.
Malik Rose makes that hoop.
Jason Hart is from L.A. And I've always tried to figure out how people from L.A. go to Syracuse. And Mike, I'd like you to explain that to me sometime.
Oh, I can tell you exactly what it was. Stevie Thompson didn't have an NBA career, played about 6 or 7 games in the league, but was there in the early 90s. He started it. Mike Hopkins was a very good assistant coach at Syracuse there now. They'd come home from school and watch Big Monday on TV. And the Dome was rocking, 30,000 people. Derek Fisher tried to drop it for Grant. Medvedenko underneath. Able to make the layup. And Slava has 4. And just the appeal of the Carrier Dome and all that stuff kind of enticed those kids. Just worked out right. Game was on at 4:30 West Coast time. Now, we brought them up there for recruiting trips when it was 70 in July. They never came up in January in the snow, but hey, it was warm inside in the Dome.
I don't know about you, George, but I've always dreamed of playing basketball in a dome.
Jason Hart.
But have you been to Syracuse? It's cold up there.
I know it's cold up there.
You guys want a fleece for Christmas?
ESPN fleece?
Oh. Yeah, order the magazine.
Yeah, hey, free one.
Dunks of the night coming up from the studio. 1 week up there. Well, some of the dunks of the night, as the Lakers have had their share of dunks in a 92-62 30-point lead. Shaquille O'Neal has not had many field goals on the night. First game back after the calf injury, but gets up there for one of the Laker dunks.
Yeah.
Tim Gray was down at that end for that dunk.
Well, just how big and powerful a guy is Shaquille O'Neal. Well, they got the breakaway rims. Those came in several years ago. This entire apparatus, and John Black, the PR director of the Lakers, tells us it weighs more than 600 pounds. He moved the entire apparatus. It jumped up and off, and during the timeout, they had to bring out the Staples Center crew to put it back on center because he moved it off center a little bit.
That's the one you're sitting next to, Jim?
That's correct. I'm glad I didn't have my toe under there, nor any of our camera guys here.
Jason Hart at the line, knocks down the free throws. He has 5. Luke Walton is in the game. Lakers' second-round pick out of Arizona. Joining Kareem Rush, Derek Fisher, Russell, and Medvedenko. Nice find by Walton. Medvedenko blew the bunny, but got the putback.
He went old school Moses Malone on him there. Offensive rebound and a bucket.
2 points and 2 rebounds.
but you hurt your buddy. You don't get the assist for Luke.
This is true. But still, I mean, we all know it was a good pass. That's one thing Luke certainly can do. Back to his days at Arizona, sees the court and a very good passer.
Willis to Hart. I mentioned Jason coming back home here. He has 7 points on the night. Russell misses from the top. Kevin Willis, who made that assist on the last basket, born in Los Angeles. So associated with Michigan State. Great days there. Now let's come back and finish up that degree work as well, which is one of the more impressive parts about Kevin Willis, who's become an entrepreneur. Fashion industry, a line of clothing. He's battling Luke Walton here. Kevin never played against Bill, did he? No, just at the end. Darn close to crossing over. T-Wolves Mavs on NBA TV tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central Time. Then TNT's doubleheader. The Bulls and 76ers and the Lakers will visit Dallas on the second end of a Texas back-to-back. They go to San Antonio first. Shot clock violation, and LA never got a shot off.
It's always interesting watching games Well, not interesting. It's 28 points. But watching who's going to try to get theirs. If you're sitting on the bench watching, you always try to say, okay, who's going to try to get theirs? This game's a blowout. We got 6 minutes left. One of these guys will end up with about 7 more shot attempts than they have right now because they're going to try to get theirs.
Jason Hart got inside. And the foul come up. You know what, guys? Kevin Willis probably did play against Bill.
You think?
Willis's first year was 84-85.
I think so.
You could be right. Wow.
Bill with that championship Celtics team.
Yeah.
So Willis has played against 2 generations of Waltons. What a nice family Thanksgiving story.
Think he knows?
Yes. You want to tell him? One more from the line for Jason Hart, who went to Greece and played basketball over there last year. He was out of a job, as I mentioned, 4 weeks ago, and he said, you know, it's kind of that Kurt Warner NFL story. Guy went from bagging groceries to Super Bowl MVP. You know, you never know what's going to happen. You never give up on the dream. Stayed in shape. Just had come off the work with the Houston Rockets in their camp. And when San Antonio went through a plethora of guard injuries, Alex Garcia, as I mentioned, Anthony Carter still out with a left knee problem. And the injury to Tony Parker, Greg Popovich needed a point guard. And called on Jason Hart, a guy who you know. George?
Jason Hart played for us in Milwaukee, was a great part of the end of the bench kind of core that stayed positive, stayed energized. Jason played a little bit with San Antonio last year, and I think that's where Pop decided to go back to him after all the injuries.
And he understood the system, was able to walk right in as the season was going. There's Willis over Walton. Devin Brown unable to make the layup. Brown undrafted, free agent. Nice bounce to Kareem Rush for the flush. Is the Laker bench better this year than it was last year?
Well, I think when Rick Fox comes back, you're looking at a solid bench. Is it better than last year? Probably more experience than last year with Russell coming over. Now you have Fisher on the bench, Rick Fox coming off the bench. So, yeah, I would say probably better, but definitely more experience.
Slava Medvedenko the miss and Brown the rebound.
I think their talent and skill is way better, a lot better. They flooded it. You know, getting Malone and Payton to start, and then put Fisher and Grant on the bench with Brown Russell. That's a lot of experience, as you said, but also a lot of skills and a lot of talent.
And it's going to become important because you look at the Laker bench now. You got Malone's got the ice on his knees. Shaq's had his problem with his calf. Kobe, we know, at the knee and shoulder. Grant's done. He's getting his knee ice. And this is a veteran team, so games like this will become important for Phil Jackson when he can get those veteran players out of there a little bit earlier. Even Kurt Rambis had foot surgery there, the former Laker head coach, player, and assistant coach. Now, Devin George, huge night, season high 19. The studio will tell us about some of the best performances of the night. Check in with the guys in Times Square before we come back to L.A.
At the top of the list, Paul Pierce with his second career triple-double. He was electric tonight, Bill.
Hey, well, it's now Pierce's team, but unfortunately he has to do this almost every night in order for them to win.
We take a look at the rest of the top performers, and Rip Hamilton, the most points by a Piston since Jerry Stackhouse had 57 in 2001.
So what? They needed every one of them tonight, too.
They did.
That was a great performance by Rip Hamilton.
Meanwhile, we look at the Lakers' performance tonight, and guys, is this a statement by the Lakers, and what does it mean for San Antonio?
Oh, I think it's a great statement by the Lakers. They're playing outstanding basketball, and the whole league is taking notice.
Well, it's also a statement by the Spurs right now. Let's face it, this team is not necessarily up to the same level as the Lakers are right now.
Well, that was tough for Mr. Laker hater to give the Lakers some props. Let's go back to L.A. and Mike.
Lamb tells the truth. Thank you, guys. Check in with you next Friday. Well, you know, always the score is insignificant. This game was such a big blowout earlier. This has just become for stat purposes only here in the final 12 minutes. Nice pass from Grant. 2 rushes for the dunk. You know, you can't overstate one game making a huge impact, but there's some cause for concern with the San Antonio team that's 9-7, 2-5 away from the SBC Center after tonight. and, hasn't been tested against a lot of tough competition and performed very well. You guys think it's something they need to address here?
I think it is. I think right now the rhythm of their offense is behind. The hole that we talked to by Jackson not being there and Bruce Bowen maybe having a down year, not a good rhythm to his offense. He's not making the threes like he made last year. They don't have an outside shot, an outside presence on the perimeter they had last year. I think there is some concern there, but Pop's a great coach. He's a great manager of the season. He won't show panic, and he will try to get better every day.
This game will have no bearing whatsoever on the playoffs. I'll tell you that right now. It's one game. It's November. Lakers played extremely well. Spurs couldn't shoot the ball. If this were to happen in February, March, then I'd say maybe the Spurs have a problem. But it's early. And we've seen the Spurs do this before. Start off slow and gain momentum throughout the course of the season.
10 points now for Kareem Rush, who had 14 against the Washington Wizards in the last blowout win for L.A. Third time this season that the Spurs have given up 100, and both times against the Lakers. One of those games in double overtime, but L.A. was right at the 100 mark at the end of regulation there as well. Other one was to Philadelphia. Ito Turkoglu took that one away and takes it all away.
Turkoglu's the guy I think has got to move forward somewhere.
Just thinking the same thing.
He's just got to come into this, become a part of this team, personality of this team. Pop talked about how fragile he was mentally. When he doesn't make shots or when he makes mistakes, he loses his confidence in the game. I think right now the Spurs are saying, come step forward for me.
Gennaro Pargo off the feed from Walton. Jason Hart gets the board as we come inside the final 2 minutes of a big Laker lead. And Hart will get some free throws thanks to the foul from the second-year man out of Arkansas, Gennaro Pargo. Quick step out. We're back to watch the final couple of minutes here as we'll get set to send you to SportsCenter as well.
NBA Friday, brought to you by OnStar. Always there, always ready. And Bank of America, higher standards.
Well, the third pick of the 1984 draft, Michael Jordan had such an impact on the NBA. Those 6 championships denying some of the best players an opportunity for a ring. Gary Payton and the Sonics, 1996, and then 2 years later, Karl Malone and the Utah Jazz denied as Michael got past Russell to hit the shot as the Bulls won it in 6 in Salt Lake City. Karl Malone and Gary Payton there on the list of most regular season games without a title. Of course, Stockton and Malone so many together. Gary Payton down on that list, 35th. Kevin Willis, who's on the floor, was prominent on that list until last season. Malone and Payton looking for that elusive ring. There's no Jordan to get in the way of Willis last year. And Brian Russell now on this Laker team. The guy who played good defense on Jordan throughout that series and that nudge away to free Michael for the game-winning shot. So memorable from that Game 6 in '98.
And I don't think it diminishes what Karl Malone, John Stockton, Dan Marino, Ernie Banks, Barry Bonds, didn't diminish what any of those guys did. If you don't win a championship, those guys are still great players, and it drives me crazy that people always have to attach, well, did they win a championship ring to become a great player? It'll enhance what they have, maybe, but it certainly doesn't diminish it if they don't win it.
Does that fall for the same for coaches?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think to be considered a great coach, I think you have to win a championship. But I don't think Doc Rivers was any dumber this year or any smarter this year than he was the last couple years. I think Doc Rivers is a good coach. For some reason, it didn't work, but everybody kept saying how great Dick Vermeil was after he won the Super Bowl with the Rams. He was a very good coach with the Eagles, didn't get a Super Bowl, but I think sometimes people attach too much importance to winning that championship.
Roy Williams,
a great example. Lute Olson in Arizona before he won his. Everybody kept saying, how come you can get there and you can't win the championship? And people want to say, oh, you've won a championship now. You're a great coach. Well, they were just as smart before they won their championship as after they won their championship.
Fouled by Jason Hart, whose coach Jim Boeheim, his college coach, was in that group as well until Syracuse won the national championship last year.
But it just, it just bothers me.
You did say coaches, though, to be considered a great coach.
A great coach. I think to be considered a great coach, you have to win a championship. One, and you could be very, very good, but to be, I mean, don't you think? Because I mean, that's what you're there for. You're there to guide teams to wins and losses, and to be a great coach. I'm not saying you're any smarter.
Mind the Sports Center's coming up as soon as we're done with it.
Would you agree? No? That you'd be a great coach without winning a championship?
Right now, I would not agree. I disagree with you right now. If I win a championship, I might agree with you.
Thanksgiving isn't about being selfish, guys. Come on. Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich are the only NBA active coaches with multiple championships. And from what we saw here tonight, Phil Jackson's going to have a great opportunity to add another championship here for, you know, if the Lakers stay healthy. It's a huge if with so many veteran players. But as Turkoglu hits a three, if they can, this team's going to be tough to beat. 103-87 tonight. Another victory at Staples Center. They've won 2 against San Antonio this year. 2 more meetings between these teams coming up. But an impressive showing from the Lakers. Spurs hadn't lost a game by more than 8 points until tonight. Karl Malone, a triple-double as the Lakers have won 24 consecutive regular season home games. All 9 here in the 2003-2004 season. Well, I hope you all have an enjoyable rest of the Thanksgiving weekend. Thanks for spending some of it with us, with Jim Gray, Tom Tolbert, George Carl, Mike Tirico. Thanks to our crew, and thank you for watching this presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Sports Center is next. Good night from the Staples Center, where the Lakers improved to 13-3.
Tonight, LeBron and Melo will go head-to-head when the Cavaliers visit the Nuggets on NBA Tuesday.
Brought in to nurture this young Cleveland team and had some struggles early on. Now you're looking at Jeff Bezdelik, and what a tremendous job he has done. Got the job almost by accident a year ago. Nobody